The signal beneath the ice. Snowstorms howled over the frozen plains of Antarctica. For most people, this part of the world was empty, quiet, and lifeless. But deep under the ice, something ancient had just started to wake up. At Research Station Omega, a team of 6 scientists worked in silence. They were studying climate change, or at least that's what they believed. Dr. Emily Hart, the team leader, stared at her monitor with wide eyes. A strange energy spike had just been detected, one that came from miles below the ice shelf. "This doesn't make sense," she whispered. "It's not natural. It's too perfect." "What is it?" asked Tom, the engineer. "It's a pulse, like a heartbeat, and it's coming from the ground." They double-checked the readings. It was real. Something huge was buried beneath them, and now it was active. Thousands of light-years away, in a distant star system, alien sensors picked up the same pulse. Inside a massive space station orbiting a red giant, alarms echoed through dark halls. Varnock Admiral Sellex stormed into the control room. His yellow eyes narrowed as he looked at the readings. "It's the signal," one officer said with fear in his voice. "After all these years, it's awake." Sellex's voice was cold. "Send a message to the Galactic Council. Earth's weapon has been reactivated." Panic began to spread. Back on Earth, the research team couldn't stop staring at the data. The signal was repeating now, like a countdown. Emily made a quick call to their headquarters. "Command, this is Station Omega. We've discovered something massive under the ice. It's active. We need a full team here. Military, engineers, everything." "What exactly is it?" came the reply. "I don't know," she said, "but it's not from this time." Within hours, a special response team landed at the station. Soldiers, scientists, and a few mysterious men in black suits arrived without warning. One of them introduced himself as Agent Ward. "This area is now under government control," he said. "You'll be working with us." The team was ordered to drill down toward the source of the signal. As they dug, strange metal plates began to appear under the ice, huge and ancient, with markings no one could recognize. "This isn't human," Tom said. "No," Emily replied. "It's too advanced. But it's not alien either. Look at this. These markings match old Earth symbols, thousands of years old. This might be human technology from a lost time." The idea was unbelievable. But the more they uncovered, the more it became clear this was not built by modern humans. It had been hidden under the ice for a very, very long time. Inside the Galactic Council's high chamber, leaders from dozens of alien species argued loudly. "We must destroy Earth before they learn what they've uncovered," shouted one. "They don't even know what it is," said another. "If they awaken it fully, it could destroy us all." An elder alien stood slowly. "That machine was made by the first humans, the ones we tried to erase. If it's still working, then we failed. And now, we may pay the price." The council voted. A fleet would be sent toward Earth, not to speak, but to strike. Meanwhile, on Earth, the drilling reached a massive door. It stood over 100 meters tall, smooth and dark, with no visible way to open it. As the team stood in silence, the door suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow. Then it spoke. "Genetic match confirmed. Welcome, descendants." The voice was human, but ancient, powerful, and full of emotion. Everyone froze. "What did it say?" asked Tom. Before anyone could answer, the ground shook. The ice cracked. The door slowly began to open. Beyond it was darkness. Then lights flickered on, one by one, revealing an enormous metal hall stretching far into the distance. Massive machines hung from the ceiling. Strange ships sat silently in launch bays. The air smelled of age and energy. "This is a battle station," Emily whispered, "and we just turned it on." The group stepped inside, flashlights scanning the space. Every surface was smooth, silent, and sleeping, waiting. Then, The lights turned red. A low rumble echoed through the walls. Somewhere deep in the station, a core engine began to hum. Emily's heart raced. "We didn't turn it on," she said slowly. It woke up on its own. Above Earth, silent satellites captured the rising energy readings and sent them into space. The galaxy received the message, and the galaxy panicked. The awakening. Deep within the ancient war station, something had changed. The soft hum had grown into a low roar. Red warning lights pulsed across the high ceilings. Steam hissed from unseen vents, but no one knew if the system was happy or angry. Emily and the team stood at the entrance, staring into the vast space. None of them spoke. Then, without warning, the massive walls lit up with holographic displays. Symbols, maps, and unfamiliar codes floated in the air. "It's scanning us," Agent Ward said, hand on his weapon. "Put that down," Emily warned. "We're not in control here." "It is." Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber. Calm, strong, human, but not. System reboot complete. Power levels restored. Protocol Omega active. Awaiting command from Prime Directive. Tom blinked. "What's Prime Directive?" Emily stepped forward slowly. "I think it's us, or at least our bloodline." The door behind them closed with a heavy thud. Trapped. Meanwhile, above Earth, strange readings pulsed from orbit. Hidden satellites, long forgotten by modern humans, came back online. One by one, they formed a silent network. And then, they sent a signal back to the station. Far across the stars, the alien fleet was already on its way. Sleek warships tore through space, heading straight for Earth. Inside the lead vessel, Admiral Selleck stood tall. "They have reawakened the Forge," he said, staring at a hologram of Earth. "We must destroy it before it fully remembers what it is." An officer approached. "Do you think the humans know what they're doing?" Selleck's eyes narrowed. "No, and that is the only reason we still have time." Inside the war station, the floors began to vibrate. Large hangar doors opened slowly, revealing machines no one had seen before. Massive war drones, armored suits, and aircraft with no wings. Some looked like beasts, others like gods. Emily's heart pounded. These are weapons. Ward stepped beside her. "No, these are relics. Machines from a war so old even history forgot it." Then something unexpected happened. One of the war suits moved. It rose from its dock like it was breathing. Steam burst out of vents. The armor unfolded, revealing a small cockpit, just the size of a human. Everyone stared. Tom stepped closer. "It's waiting for someone." Suddenly, the machine turned its head toward him. A light flashed, scanning his face. "Operator match found." Before Tom could react, the suit opened wide, like it had chosen him. "No way," he whispered. Ward tried to pull him back. "We don't know what that thing does." But it was too late. Tom stepped inside. The suit closed. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the machine straightened its back and spoke in Tom's voice. "System sensed. I can feel everything. I know how it works, like I've done this before." The team watched in awe and fear. Emily turned to the others. "These machines are not just weapons. They're memory keepers. They remember their pilots and pass their knowledge on." "Are you saying Tom just inherited someone's mind?" Ward asked. "No," Emily replied. "He awakened a part of his own." Back in the council chamber, chaos spread like wildfire. "We cannot allow a second human rise," one alien shouted. "The last one nearly wiped out half the galaxy." "They were wiped from history for a reason," cried another. "And now their ghosts return." But not everyone agreed. "The humans of today are not the same," one elder said softly. "Perhaps they are better." The room fell silent. Back on Earth, the station continued to power up. Doors opened to endless corridors. Lights revealed sleeping machines, sealed armories, and walls full of ancient writing. Emily touched one of the carvings. It showed humans battling alien armies and winning. These weren't just soldiers, she whispered. They were protectors. A sudden burst of energy shook the station. Something deep inside had turned on. A reactor, or maybe something more. Above ground, the snow around the area began to melt. The ice cracked and fell apart as if pushed by heat or force. Giant towers rose from beneath the frozen earth. Watchtowers, defense systems, and possibly weapons. The world had changed, and the galaxy had noticed. Inside the station, the voice returned. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for external threat. Hostile fleet detected. Incoming in 12 hours. Emily stared at the others. It's coming, she said. And this place, this machine, it's preparing for war. Tom's voice echoed from inside the suit. Then maybe, it's time we remember who we really are. The forgotten legacy. The war station had fully awakened. Giant steel doors slid open across its lower levels, revealing endless halls filled with dust-covered history. Tom, still inside the ancient combat suit, walked ahead of the group. His movements were smooth, almost too perfect. It's like, I've done this before, he said, voice muffled from within. Emily followed, flashlight scanning the walls. Old battle markings, now glowing faintly, decorated every surface. There were human faces carved into the stone, faces from another time, wearing the same kind of armor Tom now wore. They left a message for us, she whispered, a warning or a gift. As the group moved deeper, the temperature dropped. The lights turned cold blue. They entered a circular chamber with a black pillar in the center, reaching from floor to ceiling. What is this place? Ward asked, gripping his rifle tighter. The moment he spoke, the pillar lit up. Blue lines crawled across it like veins. Then a hologram appeared. An old man, tall and strong, dressed in ancient human military robes. His eyes were sharp. His voice echoed like thunder. To those who awaken this station, you are the last hope. The galaxy will remember our fall, but it must now witness your rise. Emily froze. It's a recorded message. The hologram continued, showing battles across stars, humans standing alone against impossible odds, massive alien fleets burning under Earth-made fire. We were not the first to rise, but we were the last to fall with honor. And this station is our legacy, meant only for those strong enough to carry it. Then the hologram shifted. It showed the same war machine Tom now controlled, surrounded by thousands of others, flying into battle. Tom's eyes widened inside the suit. This was more than just a base. It was a final stand. The lights dimmed. The hologram faded, but the message had worked. Everyone felt it. The weight of forgotten power now passed into their hands. Far above Earth, the alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Dozens of warships formed a ring around the planet. Long, silver vessels locked into firing positions. In the command ship, Admiral Relic stared at the blue world below. They've activated the core, he said grimly. We strike in 3 hours. No mercy. One of his officers spoke up. But the humans, they don't remember their past. Relic shook his head. That is the danger. History has a way of waking when you least expect it. Underground, Emily gathered the team in the central command hall. Monitors showed the approaching fleet. Drones had already started scanning the skies. We have weapons, machines, and this war station, she said, but we don't know how to use half of it. Tom looked down at his armored hands. We don't need to learn. It's already inside us. Ward raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? The suit, it speaks to me, Tom explained. Memories, tactics, even language I don't recognize, like someone downloaded it into my head. Emily leaned closer. It's passing on knowledge. Maybe that's why it chose you. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared across the hall. A defense AI voice came online. Enemy presence detected. Orbit breach in 2 hours, 46 minutes. Station shields charging. Weapon systems preparing for engagement. Everyone stared at the screens. Ward broke the silence. Looks like we don't have a choice anymore. Moments later, the hangar roared to life. Machines stirred. Flying drones lined up like birds ready to strike. Combat suits powered up. Energy cannons hummed. Emily placed a hand on one of the walls. This place isn't just alive. It's ready. Tom turned to her. What do we do? She met his gaze. We defend Earth, like our ancestors did. He nodded. Then let's make them proud. Far above, Selex's fleet prepared for their strike. But something began to change. On every alien scanner, signals flared from Earth's surface. It wasn't just energy, it was formation, structure, command. The war station was talking to other places. Selex's eyes narrowed. There's more than one station, he muttered. They're all waking up. Back on Earth, the command screen blinked with a new message. Secondary stations online. Northern grid active. Global defense system initializing. Emily turned to the group. We were never meant to stand alone. Tom smiled. And now, we won't have to. Shadows of the old war. Dark clouds gathered above the icy valley as energy from the awakening station pulsed into the sky. Satellites picked it up. Alien warships above Earth recalculated their strike plans. But something else had also awakened, memories buried deep in time. Tom stood still in the command hall. His armored fingers twitched. He was hearing something again. Not voices, not language, memories. A battlefield. Flames, screams, stars falling from the sky. He shook his head, trying to stay in the present. Emily watched him closely. Tom, are you all right? He looked at her, eyes a little unfocused. I remember things. Not my memories. Someone else's. From the suit? She asked. From the war, he said softly. The one that ended everything. Meanwhile, high above the planet, Admiral Selex's fleet had begun its approach. He stood in front of the main display, arms behind his back. The Earth looked small from here. Peaceful. It always looks innocent, Selex said to his second in command. Until it fights back. A younger officer hesitated. Sir, why are we so afraid of humans? Their current generation seems harmless. Selex turned slowly. Because we didn't defeat them last time. They'd vanished. But their machines, their strategies, they broke empires. They turned alliances to ash. And now, their war stations are waking up again. He stared at Earth like it was a sleeping monster. And we're here to make sure it never wakes fully. Back on the surface, Emily walked alongside Ward through the newly lit corridors of the station. Symbols glowed on the walls. Some they could read. Others felt like they were written in fear itself. Ward tapped a control panel. These logs, some are encrypted, but others are just stories. Emily glanced over. What kind of stories? He showed her a display, an old holographic recording. A young human commander spoke to her crew. If we fall here, let it be the final scream of humanity. And may the stars remember that we never knelt. Emily stared at the words. They knew this day would come. Suddenly, the ground shook. A dull boom echoed from above. Everyone froze. Then the AI voice echoed again. Orbital breach confirmed. Enemy fleet entering atmosphere. Impact in 45 minutes. Panic flickered in the room, but Emily's voice was calm. We still have time. Tom, now back in the hangar, watched as new machines came online. Smaller drones zipped through the air, forming wings. Robotic walkers stomped out of their hibernation bays. It wasn't just one war station. Earth had dozens, hidden, buried, waiting. He placed his hand on a control platform. The suit connected again, pulling more memories into his mind. A command meeting. Human generals. A galaxy on fire. a last stand that no one else remembered. Suddenly, Tom spoke, but it wasn't his voice. It was deeper, older. Project Obsidian. Last defense protocol. Activate if enemy presence is confirmed in Sol system. The war station answered with a low, thunderous hum. All over Earth, hidden systems began to power up. In the forests of Siberia, a mountain cracked open. In the deserts of Africa, ancient ruins shifted. In the depths of the ocean, lights blinked beneath miles of water. Earth was no longer alone. The alien ships entered the upper atmosphere. The sky burned red. Earth's defense satellites moved into attack positions. Inside the lead alien ship, Selex felt something strange. The human world wasn't panicking. It was preparing. A voice echoed from Earth's surface, broadcast through old human tech. To the fleets above, this is Earth Command. You are not welcome. This planet remembers, and we are not afraid. Selex clenched his jaw. They remember. Back in the station, Emily stood before the command console. Everyone in position, she asked. Ward, now suited up in his own ancient armor, gave a thumbs up. Tom joined them, his face calm. I think I know what this station can do, he said. And it's much more than just weapons. Emily raised an eyebrow. Like what? He looked at the glowing ceiling. It can control gravity. Moments later, as the first alien dropships entered the sky, the war station released its first move. A massive shockwave pulsed from the ice valley, harmless to the Earth, but deadly to anything not built by humans. Alien ships lost balance. Smaller fighters spun out of control. Gravity itself was bending. Selex watched in horror. They've reactivated spatial control. He turned to his crew. All forces, retreat. Pull back to high orbit. We underestimated them again. But it was too late. The sky over Earth had become a war zone. Only this time, humanity was ready. Rise of the Earthborn. The sky was on fire. Alien warships circled Earth like vultures, but now they were no longer confident. Gravity itself was their enemy. Earth's old defenses had come back to life, and deep below the ice, the war machine had only just begun to stretch. Inside the ancient station, lights danced across the walls as hidden systems came online, one by one. Emily stood at the center command platform, her voice steady. Report. Ward's fingers flew across the console. 10 satellite weapons are locked in orbit. Submarine-based rail cannons are awake. And he paused. Something's rising from the Arctic shelf. Tom stared at the display. A shape appeared, massive, shadowed, rising from beneath the ocean. That's not a ship, he said. That's a fortress. The AI voice echoed calmly. Earthborn Citadel Alpha. Returning to combat posture. Everyone stared in awe. It had been buried for thousands of years, yet it still remembered its mission. In high orbit, Admiral Selex's fleet tried to regroup. But their command structure was breaking down. Smaller ships had already been destroyed by shockwaves. Communications were jammed by strange human signals, old, encrypted codes from a war that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Selex gritted his teeth. They are not a primitive species. They are a wounded beast, and we've poked it. An officer ran to him. Admiral, one of our dreadnoughts was hit, not by a missile, but something we couldn't see, like a beam. That light. Selex's eyes widened. Invisibility weapons. That's forbidden technology. No, sir, the officer whispered. That's ancient technology. Meanwhile, Tom and Emily descended into a deeper section of the station. The walls were different here, older, less metal, more bone. What is this place? Emily asked. Tom knelt, brushing dust off an old inscription. This is where they created the Earthborn. The what? He looked up, voice serious. They weren't just soldiers. They were part machine, part human, and something else. Emily stepped back. Are you saying they still exist? Tom didn't answer. Instead, the wall behind them rumbled and opened. From the darkness, a tall figure stepped out. Humanoid. Covered in armor fused to his skin. His eyes glowed dimly, like forgotten stars. "I heard the call," the figure said. "Is it time to rise again?" Emily's mouth went dry. "You're one of them." The warrior nodded. "We are the Earthborn. We were the last defense. And now we rise again." Above, the alien fleet prepared for one final strike. If they could destroy the main war station, the planet's defense might crumble. Selex gave the order. "Begin the orbital bombardment." Missiles launched, dozens, then hundreds. Fire rained down toward Earth. But Earth was no longer alone. From deep beneath the oceans, giant towers lifted into the air. Ancient human defense systems activated. Lasers lit up the sky. EMP blasts bent the missiles off course. And then, the Earthborn launched. Tom, Emily, and Ward stood at the edge of the station as dozens of armored figures emerged from the snow. Silent warriors from the past. Each wore armor made not just to protect, but to channel power. The lead Earthborn spoke. "You gave us silence. Now we return the scream." They launched into the sky, their thrusters lighting up like falling stars in reverse. Alien fighters met them in midair, but the Earthborn moved like ghosts. Fast, sharp, deadly. It wasn't a battle. It was revenge. Selex watched in disbelief as his fleet broke apart. Ships exploded. Pilots screamed. And the humans kept coming. "They're not just fighting," he whispered. "They're remembering." Below, Emily watched the Earthborn disappear into the clouds. She turned to Tom. "How are you controlling the station?" Tom shook his head. "I'm not. It's remembering me." The console suddenly shifted. A new interface appeared. Maps of Earth. Locations flashing. Ward leaned in. "What's that?" Tom's face went pale. More stations. Not just here. In every continent. Underground. Underwater. In space. Emily's eyes widened. "Earth has more." Tom nodded. "We were never just one war machine. We were a network, and we're waking up." In the stars above, as the alien fleet crumbled and the Earthborn pushed deeper into the enemy lines, the universe began to feel something it hadn't felt in ages. Fear. Not of death, but of humanity's return. The old war wasn't over. It had just been sleeping. Echoes from the void. Silence hung over Earth like fog. The alien fleet was in chaos. The Earthborn warriors had vanished into space, hunting their prey ship by ship. All that remained was the strange quiet left behind, and the feeling that something even greater was coming. Inside the ancient station, Tom stared at the console as more signals flashed. "This isn't over," he said. Emily leaned in. "Are those distress calls?" Tom shook his head slowly. "No, they're echoes. Messages sent long ago, by humans, from deep space." Ward frowned. "But that's impossible. We've never gone that far." Tom's voice was low. "We have. We just forgot." Suddenly, the room shook. The lights flickered. From the speakers, a distorted voice echoed. A human voice, but warped by time. "This is Citadel Delta. We're still here. Repeat, we are still here. The enemy breached the edge. We sealed the void. Don't trust anything that speaks from the dark." Everyone went still. Emily whispered, "That message. It's from the outer colonies." Tom nodded. "The ones we lost contact with during the old war. They didn't fall. They sealed themselves off." Meanwhile, in deep orbit, one of the alien dreadnoughts picked up the same signal. But their system flagged it as a threat. Selex's second-in-command watched as their computers tried to block the transmission. It didn't work. The signal spread. Their ship lights dimmed. Symbols began flashing across their screens. Old Earth codes. "What is this?" Selex growled. The officer replied, shaken. "It's a trap. It's inside our systems." Too late. The ship's engines overheated. The power core screamed. In a single second, the massive dreadnought cracked open like glass. A silent flash. Then nothing. Back on Earth, Tom saw the explosion on the satellite feed. That wasn't a weapon, he said. It was a memory. A weaponized memory. Ward looked pale. You mean we're not just using old tech? We're awakening it. Tom nodded. And it remembers more than we do. The ancient war machine, buried beneath the ice, suddenly projected a hologram, an old archive. A man in armor, face scared, appeared. He looked human, but his eyes were too old. If you're watching this, he said, then Earth survived. That means the Void did not win. Not completely. But hear this. We fought them out there. Not just aliens, but shadows. They weren't made of flesh. They were ideas. Broken thoughts. Echoes of extinction. Emily stepped back. What does that mean? Tom's expression darkened. It means the enemy we beat before may be coming back. That night, across the globe, ancient beacons buried in old ruins and mountain vaults blinked for the first time in ages. A signal went out, not to Earth, but from Earth. It traveled light years across the stars. And someone, or something, answered. In the darkness of a faraway galaxy, a massive black shape stirred. A council of ancient beings watched as the signal played in their chamber. Their leader, tall and thin, spoke in a cold voice. The humans still remember. One of his advisors shivered. Should we act? The leader turned. Yes, before they awaken all of it. Back in the Arctic station, Emily stood on the outer platform, staring at the stars. So, what now? Tom joined her. Now we prepare. The galaxy thought we were extinct. A myth. But we were just buried. Ward's voice came over the radio. Guys, you're going to want to see this. They ran back inside. The Earthborn had returned. Some injured, some silent. But they weren't alone. They had brought back a ship. Not human. Not alien. Something. Older. Tom's face turned pale. That's not from this galaxy. Emily looked closer. Then where? The ship's surface shimmered, shifting between shapes. Human faces, screaming mouths. It wasn't a ship. It was alive. And it had been waiting. The console lit up with one final message from deep space. The Void is waking. When the Void remembers, a deep hum vibrated through the command chamber of the Arctic station. Tom stood still, staring at the mysterious ship the Earthborn had dragged back from space. It was hovering silently outside the hangar, not attached by cables or magnets, but floating by itself. Emily whispered, "It's not from this galaxy." Then where did it come from? Before anyone could answer, the ship shifted again. The surface rippled like water. It was alive, and it was listening. Ward's voice crackled on the radio. Tom, it's projecting something. You need to see this. They rushed to the main console. The hologram system flickered. Then an image filled the room. Space, vast and endless, filled with dead stars. A voice echoed across the room. Not human, not alien, but hollow. They buried us in silence, but now we remember. Tom's blood ran cold. This isn't just a warning, he said. It's a memory from the other side. Emily narrowed her eyes. The Void. It remembers us. Suddenly, the hologram changed again. A battle, one from the forgotten past, filled the space. Human warships, sleek and ancient, fighting something no one could clearly see. Shadows moved between the stars. Ships blinked out without being touched. Tom muttered, "We fought something we couldn't even understand. And we won." Ward looked shaken. But if it's coming back, how do we stop it again? In orbit, alien fleets tried to regroup after the shock of Earth's ancient technology waking up. But even they were starting to hear the whispers, radio static that wasn't static, messages in languages no longer spoken. Admiral Selex watched his screens with growing dread. Dozens of his ships had stopped responding. Some had vanished entirely. No explosions, his officer reported. Just gone. Like they were never there. Selex realized the truth. Their being erased. From deep space, new signals arrived. Not from Earth. Not from any known system. They came from the dark, places where even light had stopped returning. The void was not just a place. It was alive, and it was hungry. Back on Earth, Tom faced a decision. If we activate the last sequence, he said, the station will send a universal pulse. It will awaken the rest of the buried war machines around the planet, but it might also draw the full attention of the void. Emily nodded slowly. Then we don't have a choice. Together, they placed their hands on the final control panel. Lights flared across the station. The ground shook. Far below, the ancient war machine fully awoke. The ice split as towers rose. Cannons unfolded, and systems powered on after thousands of years. Around the globe, old installations reactivated. Mountain bunkers, ocean trenches, space elevators, all part of a forgotten human defense network now roaring back to life. The Earth was no longer sleeping. It was ready. In the sky, a tear opened. Not a ship, not a wormhole, a rip in reality itself. From it, the void spilled forth, shapes without bodies, thoughts without voices, memories that did not belong. The stars dimmed, time bent, but Earth did not flinch. The war machines aimed and fired. The energy blasts weren't just heat or plasma. They were memory weapons, forged from the knowledge of every war humanity had survived. Each beam carried history, emotion, willpower, and the void screamed. It recoiled, flickering in and out, unable to hold shape under the weight of human memory. Tom gritted his teeth. You erased galaxies, but you forgot one thing. We don't let go. With one final command, he linked the station with every ancient system on Earth. This is Earth, he broadcast. We remember, and we are not afraid. A pulse shot out, brighter than a star. Across the galaxy, every civilization, friend or foe, felt it. The void broke. It cracked like glass under the weight of human resilience. And then it was gone. Silence returned. In the aftermath, the ancient ship outside faded into dust. The war machines powered down, their duty complete. Emily exhaled slowly. Did we win? Tom nodded. This time. Ward chuckled quietly. Let's hope we forget all this again. On purpose, this time. Tom looked up at the sky. No, we remember. That's why we're still here. And far beyond Earth, in the dark corners of the galaxy, the name of humanity was whispered again, not as a myth, but as a warning.